Hello everyone, my name is Ronak and you're watching Vecto Art. So in today's video we will be designing this WPF UI using the UI framework Handy Controls, and also we will be animating the window using the storyboard feature in WPF. So without any further ado, let's get started. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon for future updates. So let's get started. So let's first start by creating a new project, and make sure you open Blend, Visual Studio Blend, and click on the create new project button. And I have the WPF app using .NET framework in the recent templates, but you can always go to the search bar and search for that. Now give this project a name and let's click on create. Also, if you are interested in downloading the source code, the link to the description is in the description, and you can download the source code from the GitHub repository. Now let's go to tools and go to NuGet package manager and install the Handy Controls package. So let's go to browse and search for Handy Controls. Okay, and select the second link. Okay, and select the project and click on install. Accept the terms and conditions. Click on OK here. And accept the terms and conditions. Okay, and let's wait for the package to be installed. Once the package is installed, it will open a readme file which will give you the installation steps. Okay, the package is successfully installed now, and we have the readme file open now. So let's copy the content from this readme file and paste it inside the app.xaml file. So let's go to Solution Explorer and open the app.xaml file and paste the resource inside the application resources, including the namespace. Now let's copy the namespace and also paste that in the main.window.xaml file after the width information before the grid. Okay, so now if you go to the controls, you will see a set of controls which are newly installed here, and these controls are from Handy Controls, and you can find the documentation for those and in the description. So if you go to the description, you will have a link to the documentation. You can go ahead and explore all the controls that Handy Controls provides. So let's build the application once just to have an idea of how big the window is. Okay, let's close this now. Now let's select the window, go to properties, and let's check the allow transparency checkbox and also remove the background. Now we'll take a rectangle and draw a rectangle inside the window. Okay, let's change the radius of the rectangle. Okay, done. Now let's add an image. Before that, let's zoom in. Yeah, okay, so let's add an image. So let's go to the search bar and search for image control. Okay, let's draw that image on top of the rectangle and go to properties and browse for the source. Okay, so as you can see that the image background and the rectangle color does not match. So let's select the rectangle and change the background fill to white. Okay, so that's done. Now let's add a text block. Below the image. So let's select the text block and draw it below the image. Let's add some text. So this is just a sample text. In a real time scenario, you will be populating the values from the database or whatever value you want to display. So this is just a mock-up design. So select this and let's change the foreground color to match the color template or color palette. So I'll just take the color from the image that I have and change the font size. Also I'll make this particular font bigger and bold. Remove the space between the letters. Let's increase the size. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. I think we'll have to change the font as well. Let's select a different font. If you don't have these fonts, you can go to fontawesome.com and search for this font. Let's add some more text below this. Let's decrease the font size to maybe 12 pixels and let's copy and paste the same content and modify the text for the rest of the points. Okay, so I think we are done. Let's change the foreground color to say black. Yeah, so let's select both the controls, that is the image and the text block, move it to the top, and then let's select both of them and group it into a grid and then rename it as banner. So this gives a better understanding and also it helps while animating the screens. So now I will draw one more rectangle, so which will resemble a credit card or a debit card. So I will place it above the first rectangle and then change the order by sending it to back. Now I will select it. Let's remove the stroke of the first rectangle and also the second one. Let's increase the size of the second rectangle. Now let's change the fill to blue. Okay, now let's add an image on the top right corner. So let's draw an image and the icons or the logos that I'm using are downloaded from icons8.com. You can go to the description, you will find a link there. You can download those icons from that website. So I'm done adding the image or the logo. Now let's go to the documentation of that Handy Controls UI framework and go to the text box documentation and copy the code. Here the closing tag is missing, so you might have to add that in the XAML file. So add the closing tag. After you add the closing tag, you will have to resize the text box. Okay, so let's resize the text box, and you can see that this text box has a placeholder text as well as an info title. Okay, let's change the placeholder text as card number and the same for the title. Okay, and next let's go to the documentation and pick up some of the other attributes like the show clear button and the text type. So these attributes will help you to, for example, the show clear button will add a clear button inside the text box which will clear the text, and the text type will have different types of text. If you are using that text box for email, then you will have that text type as mail. If you just want numbers, then you will have numbers, so and so on. So I am going to use this text type property for this text box. Later on you can explore this property on your own. So let's run the application once and just see this in action. Okay, so I think we have to, as you can see, we have this close button, and also if you type uh, the alphabets or characters, it is not taking them, and it is showing an red border on top. Only it only accepts numbers. So let's make a copy of the first text box that we created. Change the placeholder text to card holder and also the title to card holder. And let's remove the text type, since the card holder can accept anything. But yes, you can restrict it to characters and avoid numbers. So that validation is up to you. So I will remove this. Text type. Okay, and then let's make one more copy. And that will house the expiry date of the card. So let's change the placeholder text and the info title. I think here it will be a challenge because I have to split the month and date here. So in that case, I think we cannot go with the info title. So let's do one thing. Let's remove the info title element from all the text boxes, resize them. Let's do the same for the second one. Let's remove the title, resize, and the same for the other two. Okay, and let's remove the info title and change the size. Now let's take a text block on top of the text box, change the font foreground color to white, and change the text to same as the placeholder text. change the text property of the text block. Okay, so yeah, so all we have to do is now make copies of these this text block that we created and change the text. Make one more copy. This will be the expiration date, and finally we have to make one more copy for the CVV. Also we have to change the placeholder text for the expiration dates to mm and YY, month and the year. Okay, so that is done. Now let's make a copy of that. Change the text block text to CVV and also the placeholder text to CVV. Okay, so that is done. Let's select all the controls and group it into a grid. Rename it as controls. I think let's align those the last row controls. So let's move it to the right and change the size of it, and then let's do the same for the expiration date as well. Let's increase the size for mm and also YY. So we are all set. Now this is the first screen that we will see, and after the animation ends we have to show a different screen. So let's start working on the second screen. So let's do some minor adjustment to the first screen first, and then now let's add a button before we start working on the second screen. So let's edit its template and create a copy of it. Before we do this, let's go back to the window button template. Yeah, so go back to that button template, go to properties and change the foreground color or the background color to blue and the foreground color to white, and also let's change the width and height to 80. Okay, now let's go back to editing the template of the button. Right click and edit. This time click on edit current because you have already created a copy of that template. And now go to border and change the corner radius. To change the corner radius you will have to convert it to a local value by clicking on the yellow highlight option there and click on convert to local value and change the corner radius. After you're done changing the corner radius, you can go to the second border and remove the content presenter, delete it, and now inside the stack panel you can add a image, resize it and browse an image. So you can go to properties, go to source and browse the downloaded image. Now that's it. You can go back to the window. Now let's start designing the second screen, which is the end screen for our animation. So let's hide some of the things here so that we do not get confused. And when I say I want to hide, I am not hiding it from the properties panel. I'm just making the designer hidden. So let's hide the button, let's hide the banner 1, and let's hide the second rectangle. Now let's concentrate on the first rectangle and increase its size so that it looks like a square instead of a rectangle now. Okay. Okay. Now we have to add an image and a text block. So let's copy the existing image and text block from the banner one. Copy them and paste it inside the grid. After you paste them, just arrange the controls like I am doing it. So I will move the controls down and also move the button. Okay, and now let's select the image first and move it to the center. Change the source to a different image. Okay, increase the size. Okay, and also change the text block content. So select that and change it to whatever text you want to show. Here I am typing payment successful. Let's align it to center and sorry. Okay, yeah, so let's get rid of the text that is there below, and now let's resize the text block. So this is the final screen, and also let's select the image and the text block and group it into a grid and rename it as banner 2. Now all our controls ready. Let's make them visible. So by default the banner 2 will be hidden from the properties panel, so you can go to the visibility and make it hidden. And also the first rectangle's width will be around 220 pixels. So this is the starting width of the rectangle, and the banner 2 will be visibility will be hidden in the first frame. So let's start by adding a storyboard, and on the first keyframe of the controls, let's add an empty keyframe, and sorry, let's remove that keyframe, and on the first keyframe let's change the visibility of the controls. Let's change the visibility of the controls on the second keyframe, and on the first keyframe we have added an empty keyframe. So now let's select the rectangle and add an empty keyframe on the 0th frame, and on the 0.4 keyframe I am going to change the size of the rectangle. So by changing the size, it will automatically add a keyframe there. So the controls opacity we have changed on the 0.1 keyframe, and the rectangle's size we have decreased on the 0.4 keyframe. Now for the second rectangle, let's add an empty keyframe and change the size on the 0.4 keyframe. Let's select the banner and add an empty keyframe, and on the 0.4 keyframe let's make the banner 1 hidden and the banner 2 visible. And finally the button on the 0.4 keyframe we will have to move this to the center. So if you do not follow my words, you can always slow down the video and see what actions I am doing, and follow the mouse pointer. So let's run the animation, and you can see that we have achieved the desired animation. Now all you have to do is add a trigger. So select the button first and then go to triggers, and instead of the window trigger, window.load, let's select the button here. So we will trigger the animation on click of button click. So instead of a window, let's trigger the animation by button click and not window load. So save this animation. Hope you all liked watching this video. If you do, again, please do subscribe to my channel. And last thing that we have to do is change the Windows startup location to center screen and click on run. Thank you guys. Bye bye.